Femi. Thank you for that contribution, Femi. We'll come back to you again. Shola, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just again trying to piece together, what Femi was saying, and what I've gleaned from it is that is he say I think he's saying that we're bound to a degree by family. The root cause of a lot of this that we're saying is that we could be there's a tendency then to be bound by family ideals or traditions and so on, and then that and then spills over into society, into community, into society, and then we have it as something that looks like a norm. When you mentioned about the slaves before, Tony, yes, those slaves, those days, you mentioned ancient Greece and so forth, and the Romans and so forth, yes, they were used for chores, they were used for jobs. And I was going to add they were actually used for status as well. If you didn't have a slave, what was your status in society? Um, but I also wanted to throw this again and be advocate. Okay, first of all, I want to ascertain who is the they that we're referring to, because if we were at home now, as in if we were in Nigeria or Ghana, what would we be saying when we're talking about the salary situation and having to work harder and so forth? Are we taking it from the perspective of us, some of us being outside of Nigeria or Ghana or wherever we happen to be from, or are we taking it from the standpoint of, you know what I mean, being at home? So there's so much to unpick from this whole thing, really.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. I think before I say too much, let me go to Joseph. Welcome up on the call. I know you wanted to say something, so we'll hand over to you, Joseph. Over to you.
Yeah, just give me a moment. I'm having problem today with my computer. I do apologize for my lateness. I'm having problem. I'm still having problem with it. I think it might have a issue with it. Anyway, yeah. The discussion is about the black man, yeah, uh, in suits versus shackles of the slavery. Are we just exchanging that for the suit? Would I be correct in that
Yeah,
statement?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I can't see the compatibility because um, um, sorry, I can't see the compatibility because we've got choice. Yeah, we've got choice because we have a global economy. We can go anywhere. So if I think you could say that about the 1950s, the 1940s, the 1930s, yes. Yeah, because of many of the atrocity and oppression. But I don't think you can say that in the 1920s. Are we exchanging this slavery, cotton picking, out in the field, sweating and being beaten to submission to suits? Because now we've got choice. But I do think you're right in the sense that another perspective is that there is sort of slavery that still exists, the glass ceiling in the corporate world, etc., etc. So there is still some oppression. There is still some slavery, economic, social, especially in America and indeed in England. Social, economic position, glass ceiling, promotional structure, yeah, still exists, yeah. And then we think, go to university, get qualification, and we get the right job and we pay our bills. And that doesn't exist anymore, at least in modern times in England. Yeah, so that is really my feeling. We've got a choice. In conclusion, we've got a choice to what we want to do as black men, as black people. We don't have to stay in the status quo that existed in Europe. Yeah, we've got a choice.
all right.
That's my
That's a new take. We have a choice. I'm just wondering what type of choice we have based on what's around, and also I think also what we need to do is look at. You see, for me, I think we need to also understand that we're not just saying literally slaves. You understand? We're looking at mindsets. We're looking at
Mm,
actions. We're looking at
mm,
where are we today? Where are we today? Yeah. What do we own today? Yeah. What are we where's what are we creating today? What are we developing today? We are known as mainly as consumers. Yeah. We
yeah.
consume a lot. We consume a lot. If you're looking to sell fashion products, you're looking to sell sports products, you're looking to sell car product, we are consumers. And I believe that that consumer thing is also part of being enslaved. Yeah. Rather than being, even though the few of us, the minority of us are doing things, the majority of us are still in that zone of consumers. So for me, I think that means that if we're consumers,
I'm
that
gonna.
means what we earn, yeah, we're before we know it, it's outside of our circle, in terms. So therefore, we have to rely on working again harder to get this to spend. So I'm
I'm
just saying the mindset. Can we focus?
gonna.
Because once you're in the once the mindset is enslaved, yeah, everything else
Mm,
follows.
that's
Yeah,
right. That's right. That's right. Can I just jump in again, Tony? And again, I'm in very much agreement with that. And I'm going to say this the same line that I said at the beginning. There's a word that says people perish because of a lack of knowledge. Now, if people don't know, if awareness is limited, the areas that you're talking about there, if people just don't know because they don't know, they're not going to do. Yeah. He goes on to say that if they don't know, then they haven't got a clue of what needs to be done. They don't realize people don't realize that they're just purely consumers. They don't know the avenues, to extract themselves out of that mindset, out of that way of life. They don't know. They don't know. But again, as Joe said, there is a choice, and the choice in that matter is, I believe, it's about one's willingness, you know what I mean? To sort of attain a different level, a new level. And again, we can only do that by is it by networking? Is it by collaboration? You understand what I'm saying? But again, it still goes back to the mindset. It still goes back to the way that one thinks. Um, before we can come out of that, out of that shell, as it were. So, like you rightly said, it's not about the slavery as in shackled physically. The bigger picture, the more crucial, important one is up here. Just to quote a word from one of my favorite artists back in the day, Bob Marley, he said that we need to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
emancipate ourselves from mental slavery.
Yeah,
That's what just rings in my mind as we're talking tonight, and that's where the crux of it all is.
yeah, definitely. I like that one. I like one. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. That's where we are. That's where I feel we are. That's where I feel we need to get out of. I believe the chains are invisible now, whereas before they used to be visible. Um, I believe the choice
Isn't
that
that more dangerous?
yeah, exactly, exactly. I believe the choice that Joe is saying we have is not really a choice. I believe it's there just to say the door is open, you can go if you want, but it's up to you. You take the risk of going. I also believe that if you look at coming to where are all our young majority, a lot of our young people are. They're in prison. Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah,
So what's that?
there we
What
go.
are we saying there? What are we saying there? Yeah, when you tend to find that the percentage in terms of the percentage in terms of the prison population when it comes to
Mm,
young people, we have a high percentage
mm,
compared to
mm.
our population. So, these things are things we need to also address. Yeah. Um, you can wear a suit, doesn't mean you're not a slave. Yeah. you can be in an IT job, doesn't mean you're not slave. You can be in a white collar, blue collar, doesn't mean you're not. Yeah, that's my take anyway. That's my take. I
Mm,
just don't I want you to understand because the thing is what's your mind like? Yeah, what is your mind like? Yeah, I hear some people when they talk to certain types of people, they talk to them with a different way. When they talk to our people, they talk to them a different way. You understand? And I'm thinking,
mm.
hold up here, this is the same person. Why have you got two? Why have you got two
Two
ways to talk?
hats.
You understand? So this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We have Hero on the call, and Joseph wants to come back. What Hero? You want to say something?
Thank you so much, Tony. Let me be listening.
Okay.
These are high talks. My opinion. You know, you
You-
know,
you-
I want to learn more because there are so many questions. You know, I was I was talking with an elderly person here. He was trying to tell me how the Bible was used as a tool to enslave the blacks. I was just curious to know. He was just telling me a lot of things that I've never heard before, but it challenged me because he was comparing it to the realities of what we are facing right now. So I was asking him, how did we get to this point where we now believe that a white man is superior to a black man? He said to me that what happened is that these guys, when they came around in Africa, they had some things that would look like as magic. They had the mirrors, they have the all this gunpowder, and we are not used to that, right? So, and we began to, they instigated us. They instigated us to believe that we are inferior to them because they were afraid of us. Because the man was telling me that we are blessed in Africa, we have everything we need. He compared it to Europe, in Africa, the weather we have, the soil we have, everything was working for us. So we are not eager to leave our comfort zone. But the whites, the Westerns, they were not privileged to have some of this good weather, good soil, good whatever. So in their nature, they want to dominate the world. They're out of fear. They reached out to start traveling to conquer the world. That's how they develop their language and all of that. So a lot of questions in my head, but I'm too young to have an opinion. So I will be listening, but if I'm allowed to ask some question as a follow-up, because a lot of this is not making sense to me. Because how many white guys do you see coming to Africa to come and naturalize if we are not slaves? How many white guys how many person gets a visa in Africa and go and celebrate in church? But we do it in Africa here. Why? Because we are slaves. We believe that they are better than us. We would rather die and appear in America than to die and appear in heaven. Because we believe they're superior to us. So there's something that's already been planted in us. We are losing our language. Our children can't speak our language again. We don't know our roots again. All of these things are engineered to control our affairs. Even though it may look like we are having a choice, like one of us said here, we are not really having a choice. Because when they present um, Lexus car and Toyota car, it is a company that owns it. But one is a luxurious brand, while the other one is an economic brand. When they present Peak Milk and Three Crown, the same. When they present APC and PDP, the same people. It's just that they are giving you a slave feels like they have an option, but not really have an option. Because if you even look at invention and who are controlling the affairs of this world when it comes to inventions, these guys are on top of it. I don't have answers to these things, so I will listen more. But if I'm given opportunity to ask some questions, I can ask because some things are not making sense to me. I strongly believe that there's something we are privileged to have that these guys have, or they have intimidated us to believe that we are inferior to ourselves so that we can serve them forever.
But
That's what I feel.
okay. All right. Thanks for that, Hero. Can I just say something? Hero, very very articulated, very very well, very very impressed. I really love it when you come onto this platform. You really you say what you say. Please, my brother, you've done it to yourself now. Do not belittle yourself because age does not automatically warrant wisdom. Okay, so what you've said already is massive. Yeah, are you hearing me?
Yeah, I think it is. It
Yes, I
is.
can hear you, sir.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So what you've said already is great. There's some people, tens of
yeah,
years older than you. that wouldn't be able to articulate it in the way that you have. So don't ever say that you're too young and so forth. But I understand your humility, but
Yeah.
can I just zone in on one point there that, or on a couple of points actually. So there is a choice element because you said it yourself anyway. In terms of mindset, like this whole thing of a people believing that we're less, or that we're inferior to another. Yes, that's a mindset. That's a mindset situation. I know what you said. I understand what you said, and I tune into what you said about things being engineered in a certain way to make us people believe in something else. And as you rightly said again, why are our people flocking over to the West by choice? I might add, they're not being forced. It's a choice. Yeah. So that means this thing is is still continuing. Whatever was done then is still having momentum. In fact, gaining momentum. Yeah, you hear people just using different methods, different adverse methods to get out of their indigenous countries and to come here and hustle and do whatever. You understand what I'm saying? So they're making a choice. That's not by force because they've believed whatever's been planted into them, whatever they've seen on whether it be social media, whatever relatives have said to them, what lie they've been sold is still continuing. But everything still, we're still, it's still going back to this whole mindset of ours, of the individual.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, and I agree with Shola in terms of hero. Don't say you're too young because I believe that's also part of slavery. Because when you
Yes.
think very carefully, we go
Conditioning.
by hierarchy, don't we? And then the
Yeah.
people that are a certain age are not to talk, they're not to say anything. Yeah. And
Exactly.
that's how they sold so many slaves, because the young people that were sold as slaves were listening to the elder and saying these guys
Yeah.
will take care of you, follow them. Meanwhile,
You
they
see?
were exchanging it for wine, they were exchanging it for gunpowder, all kinds of things going on. So we need to be careful about this, even though I believe respect is very important. The elder, it's good to have tradition, but not
Mm.
blindly, not blindly. Yeah. And
Yeah.
this is the kind of thing they use to suppress you, to say you're too young. Young man, shut up.
Yeah.
What do
Yeah.
you know? How long have you
Yeah.
lived? Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, young man. There are some young men that have more experience in life than
Yes.
old. There are
Yeah.
some young men that travel far and wide that some old men have never been there. Yeah. So are you telling me that that man cannot talk? That man does not have a voice. But that is the way slavery was made easy. I would say that's the way slavery was made easy. As Femi mentioned, you have the king, you have all the people underneath, and then you have the village. Yeah, and those village people will never ever talk against the hierarchy because of age, because of status. And I think when we can get rid of this, not I believe we need to keep respect there, we need to keep tradition there, but not blindly, not walk blindly. Because I believe that's what a slave is really. A slave just doesn't respond, just does what he's told, is because he believes he's owned by somebody. And even when you look at the whole traditional thing, a village believes they're owned by the next level. The next level believes they're owned by the next level, and the next level. So everyone keeps quiet when they're looking at the level above. Yeah, and that's where we are today. I mean, I look very carefully. I mean, I'm doing a lot of stuff now, and Shola knows that I'm doing it, and some of you know that I'm doing it. And I look at this thing of called decentralization. Oh my God. If you ever get into decentralization, you will know that the whole centralization is all about slavery.
Mm.
Just because,
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, somebody is in control. Yeah. Like for example, you have the bank. The bank is centralized. That's why they call it central bank. Yeah.
Central Bank.
The exchange, they're centralized. Yeah. All these things are owned by people and the masses are underneath. being
Yeah.
controlled. They can close your bank down without giving you any reason.
Yeah.
And you can't do
That's
anything
right.
about it. Yeah. Now they're running scared because decentralization is coming their way. Yeah. And that they don't know what to do. I can send money to Nigeria in 20 seconds without having to, with paying just 1 pence. Yeah. Whereas if I go through the bank, if I look at all the charges, if I look at all the holdups, if I look at all the time, and then you have to pay all these middlemen, middle women, and all this stuff. That's a form of slavery where you have centralization. Okay, so let me not talk too much. That's me just opening it up again. Over to Hero. Hero, do you want to say something there? Because I know you put the camera on. Did you want to say something there, or ask something?
Yeah, yes, I really appreciate what the angle you're coming from. Yes. So I don't know. Maybe when we get to, I don't know whether will be opportunity to ask some questions, so we can also stimulate some discussion on that area, because this slavery thing cut across all the the man that was talking to me yesterday. He made mention that the Roman Empire, they used to use violence to dominate the world, but at the point they found out that is costing a lot to mobilize soldiers. So what they did is that they instituted Roman Catholic, which replaced the military, so that a pope can stand the one and make a declaration, and 2 billion people are obeying it. So that Christianity was actually designed to enslave us, all right, to keep us in check. So that when somebody slaps you, there's no response. You believe that there's a better heaven, that it was actually designed for slaves. They are already living in the heaven, but made us believe that there's a heaven, there's a better place we are going, and hope will keep us there. So I just want us to react to that. Let me know part of the problem, because it seems like Africa is the most religious country, but they are most enslaved. No production from them, no activity, no performance. When it comes to creativity, it's lacking.
Right. Can I answer? Can I answer something to what Hero said then? If nobody else wants to answer yet. Okay, I for one, I said on this platform, guys, that I want us to really just be real, as heroes being real. And so sometimes we can use our own personal experiences and our own testimonies to really attest, not so much about what we've read, but what we actually experienced. Because you know why? Nobody can take that experience away from you. Okay, I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. I believe I'm a Christian, but I personally do not see Christianity, my Christian experience, as a religion. I don't feel that I'm bound by it. I see Christianity as a way of living, as a way of life. Yes, because as I said before, I'm not sure whether you were on the call at the time you wrote that. When I lived a different kind of life, yes, outside of certain parameters, I saw how things were going, and they weren't great. They looked like they were great, but they weren't great. They weren't sustainable, and they weren't able to be preserved. Yes, when I then embraced Christianity as we know it, I find freedom, I find joy, I find hope, as you mentioned there, but not blind hope. I don't find. I think a couple of weeks ago we did the thing on religion. Is it just set to make us feel comfortable? Yeah, I reject that. I don't have a kind of blind hope and a kind of soft, just a soft, just tenderly footing. No, I see it as progressive. I find a lot of impetus. I find a lot of drive, passion, zeal, wisdom. Yes, so all the things that are encompassed that would make one go forward and progress is what I personally find. I can't speak to anybody else's experience, but I'm just saying of my own experience. Yes, and I think what you quite rightly mentioned, when we keep thinking this thing of religion, it becomes so, how can I put it, so legalistic and so burdensome and so a system that wants to really suppress, as we mentioned. Yes, I agree with that, but I'm just saying from my own personal, and I'm sure many other people may not have that particular experience. Yeah, when you've lived on both sides of the coin, and you can see which is the one that's going to take you to the next level, then I put my hand up for that Christianity all every time, but I'm not as a religious practice, but as a way of living. Yeah, in terms of my morals, the way I'm going to interact, the relationships that I build. I like to look at divine and strategic relationships. Hopefully, this is what we're doing now. And I may not have done that before. I may have just been looking at ways of, oh, just show me the money, show me the money. What am I going to gain from this? I don't care how I do it, but just let me get. But I don't have those sort of ways about me now. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's more from that point of view of a way of living.
Well,
Yeah.
I think I think you know, a way of living. You don't need to have a religion, yeah, to have a way of living. I know your experience. That's your experience.
Yeah.
You
I'm
know,
just
you
saying
can
mine.
have,
Yeah.
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 Countries have rules and regulations that keep
Mm,
people in check. Yeah. So
mm,
if I think religions, Christianity surpasses, all that stuff. But one thing I'll say to you is this: look, the problem that people have with religion, yeah, let's say the problem that people have with religion is that it's been interpreted by man, yeah, and when something's interpreted by man, then we now have to say, is the is it do they have any interest? Because the interest they may have, they may interpret things a certain way. Yeah. For example, till this date, you see Jesus as a white man on a picture. Yeah, I'm just saying,
no,
just see it all the time.
I don't.
So and no, but I'm just saying the general consensus, yeah, or the general view, But then again, where was it? It could have been white. Do you
No,
understand?
this is.
So, so,
But
so
no, but Tony,
but I'm
no, but
just
Tony, let
saying
me
to you
just
that.
butt in.
But I'm
Sorry to
just
butt in. Sorry to butt in. So I'm not. No,
calm
I'm
down,
not
calm
being
down.
rude. I'm not being. No, I'm not being disrespectful. No, I'm not. I'm not contesting what you're saying. I'm
Fine.
just saying. You see,
Okay.
everything still comes back to the mindset and knowledge, because you just
Mm.
said there now that Jesus was interpreted as a white man. Now, if one, when that's been said, but when one does their own research and like I said, you tap into a certain mindset and you look at historical factors and all that thing, then you would know that okay, that can't be the one. So again, you said there, look, religion is interpreted by man, but I would venture to say that everything then is interpreted by man. There's every single concept that we look at has got a man-made interpretation behind it. It's
True.
not just really, you know what I mean? It's not just about religion. Everything that
Yeah.
we attest to, everything that we do in life. You see? So,
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I mean, like I said, I'm trying to really have this demarcation between religion and a way of living. As you rightly said, yes, okay, countries
Because
have laws and so
you know,
forth, but are
how
they
did we
obeyed?
get how did we get to this religion anyway? Because what Hero
Hero,
was saying, Hero was
hero
saying
brought
that
in.
Hero was saying that it was linked to enslaving us, or it was linked to
Mhm,
slavery. It was linked to
mm,
coming in, and it made it
mm,
easier. Yeah. So I think
mhm,
that's
mhm,
how we got into it. And this is again man driven. Man, they will use certain things like the Bible to in their interest sometimes, and we've seen this happen many times. Whether it's the Bible, whether it's the Quran, whether it's anything, they will use it in their interest. Yeah. Now, if you really think about it, if you
Who's
really
the,
think
Tony?
about,
Who's they?
yeah,
Look, I need to break this down. I need to understand who are the
I,
they that we're referring to.
listen. Don't worry about
Indoctrination.
them at the moment. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about them. But you look at
No,
most of the
we
church.
need to
No,
know.
no, 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 no. Wait. You look at most of the churches in Nigeria, in Ghana. They're full.
Uh-huh,
But look,
uh-huh,
look at the pastor. Look at the pastor in that church. Yeah, how a pastor having a helicopter. A pastor. Look, what you have to understand is these guys can barely find one meal. But guess what? Everything's been interpreted to them. Some of these people, they leave church and they've even forgotten what they heard in church.
hmm,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
this is controlling them. This this whole service is controlling them. Yeah. And we've got to see whether this is also being contribution is a contribution to us having our mindsets which are enslaved. Yeah. So Joseph, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I've been putting my hands up. My hands is aching.
Yeah, I can
Right.
see that. That's why I can show you. Go
Right.
on.
The thing, I think we're slightly digressing somewhat.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The issue is, and this topic is very interesting because it covers broad spectrum of where we are at the moment and where we are, and looking from an historical perspective, why did our parents come over from Africa to take risk and come over here,
Mm.
educate themselves?
Mm.
Some went back, some stayed. Yeah, we were
Mm.
colonized from a religious perspective,
Yeah.
economic. We were exploited physically, taking slaves to the Americas and exploited and so forth. Yeah. And they indoctrinate us, because that's what you were trying to say, Tony, with religion. Yeah. White, blonde Jesus Christ. And now that is being questioned all over the media. So then it brings us to where we are. We're indoctrinated. We come to the Western world. We put on suits, go to university, get our masters, get our degrees, get a job. And in Africa, we live what we call, what the Nigerian call Coca-Cola life. In a sense, we've got McDonald's, we've got skyscrapers, and we wear suits in a hot country. Not all, yeah, right, and tie. And what I'm trying to say, over the years of colonization, we've been indoctrinated. That in itself, enslaved our mind that what the Western world is best. I remember my mom used to go to Nigeria all the time and bring cornflakes home because she can't buy it in Nigeria. Baked beans and all of that sort of stuff in the 70s. Yeah. Now that's an abomination in itself. Yeah. So it's this brainwash that we have, that are we still in slavery? Because they've indoctrinated our society to think European way is the best. But European democracy, philosophy, and culture does not always suit Africa. And every time we try to
Mm.
what's the word? Turn our society in Africa to more Western, yeah, there's conflict. It doesn't quite match our culture. And we don't actually pull it off. And Western world don't want us to pull it off. And this is why I was talking to Tony one time. I said, Tony, remember, in the Second World War, Germany was bombed to shreds, bombed flat. Japan was nuked, and yet they become economic power in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, still now, because the American went in and built it. The American went to Germany and built it to where they're economic powerhouse of Europe. They've sucked out the lifeblood of Africa. The reason why they don't want us, and I think it's someone says an American Constitution, is that they don't want us to use the resources. So that is part of the colonization, is part of the slavery, the mentality, the indoctrination that we still hold. Nothing holds so true in Africa that is original African. Not nothing, some stuff doesn't hold so true to that effect. And those who were born here, those who were slave and still in Western society, now indoctrinate that. Now take that as part of norm, yeah, in ways that were enslaved to their ways. As soon as the basketball reaches a billionaire or millionaire, marries a white woman and leaves the black woman behind. And there are many, many other issues that goes along with that. So in conclusion, what I'm just saying is that we are enslaved and we're not. And then if we are, it's by choice, because we've got choices to go elsewhere. And the reason why I said our parents came over here in the 60s, in the 50s, the 70s, is to get economically better, educated, and go back home. Some didn't, some stayed. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Joe, thanks for that. Thanks for that, Joe.